Jess Fuchs.
That was close. Wasn't great.
Jess Fuchs.
Yes, that's good.
Pleasure to be with you.
Pleasure to be here.
We've gotten to know each other so well over the last 15 seconds.
So true.
And you're looking fantastic today. I know
Thank
you're
you.
worried, but you're
I was
looking
worried
good.
about looking oily.
No, you're not oily at all.
Thanks.
Like I said, there's almost like
it's dry.
It's so dry. It's like
flaky.
like a Sahara in the woman.
Wow,
It's
stop
a beautiful
flirting
thing.
with me.
I know, so early.
Okay.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty. You're a Sydney-born comedian.
Uh-huh.
You've toured all over the world. You've gigged in LA, London, Edinburgh, Paris. But here you find yourself in the mecca of comedy, the greatest city in the world, Perth, Western Australia.
Uh-huh.
Welcome. You made it. You finally did it.
I know. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, that's
I'm
absolutely
happy.
fine.
Really, this is it.
It is pending.
This is going on the top of the list of all the places I've been.
Thank you. And
For
so
sure.
it should. But take me back to the beginning of Fuchs' journey.
Fuchs' journey. Okay, great. I did an open mic in Sydney. What?
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, I was just excited.
You were excited. I thought I was doing something wrong. I was like ready to apologize as the woman in me. But I did an open mic in Sydney. It was really funny. A man came up to me after and gave me his card and was like, I can make you something. And I was like, you're 5 foot tall. Get the fuck out my face. I was like, okay, who the fuck are you? And then I moved to the US like pretty much a couple months after that. And I lived in New York and I did an open mic. This was the second open mic I ever did. And it was hectic. It was like a bunch of dudes and they were all talking about like hitting women. It was like incel vibes and I didn't know anything. So I left and I called my dad crying. I'm like, is this what men think of women? Like, what's happening? And then I didn't do an open mic for like another 2 years. And I started doing improv because I'd moved to New York to like, I'm going to be a comedian, you know?
It's the place to be.
Yeah. And so then I started improvising and I did that pretty seriously for like 2 years. And then I was like, all right, enough fuck about, like, you came here to do stand-up. So then I started getting really heavy into stand-up in 2018, 2019, and then just kept going from there. But I do a lot of crowd work, and that comes from, I was doing, like, improv, like, an hour and a half of improv every night. Like, so I was just so used to having a stage and being like, I trust something's going to come. So then by the time I started stand-up, it was like, now I just have to learn how to write a joke, but comfort on stage was like kind of there.
What an unfair advantage.
I know. Well, when people are like, oh, crowd work's hard, I'm like, you just have to trust that the audience are freaks. They're freaks. Every human is an absolute freak. All you have to do is trust that you will notice the weird pause or the strange word choice or like they're being weird or their dynamic is strange and you'll find something. And crowd work is that. That's it. It's just being like able to do that. But comics don't trust that because comics are like, I want to write a joke, right? It's just a muscle in my opinion. But
no, I think you're 100% correct. And
Yeah.
I think that the interesting thing of just having that conversation, having that trust, that's the thing everyone needs to build, whether it's on stage or doing improv an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
The trust.
It's
all
embarrassing.
there. But on the reverse,
You know.
how was like the process for you starting to like write jokes and kind of have the material and have so much like an act, if you will?
Yeah, it was okay. It took a while to figure out like what do I actually like talking about and like what's fun and what's stupid and also what's your vibe? Like what can you get away with on stage is a huge thing,
Totally
I think. Because sometimes when you start, you're like, ooh, what can I do? And I think improv and or crowd work helped me like just organically be like, oh, I can be a bit cheeky or a bit like seem a bit dumb. And so I can get away with saying a bit more of like cunty things because I can be like, oh, I'm just dumb. And people are like, she's dumb. And I'm like, nah, not really, but okay. Yeah. If it helps that I can like be an asshole, sure, I'm dumb. I don't care.
The tactical side, right?
Fully. And so that took a bit of time, but a lot of the jokes like structure, I'm dyslexic, so I'm not my jokes are all over the shop. But that kind of suits now my energy, which is you're like, is she just saying it or has she thought about it?
Yes.
So it's taken time, but for me, it's like a process of like riffing or trying to understand like, what do I think of this topic? What is every angle I think of this topic? So then when I do it on stage, I can riff it because I've already thought, how do I think of everything?
You're so tight on the concept.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, if I wanted to talk about like, I don't know, whatever, if I know like 10 elements of that topic, if I'm riffing, I already know how I feel. So I can pull. And then you listen back and you go, okay, move this to there, move that to here. Okay, let's try it that way. Nope, move that back here, da-da-da-da-da. And so it's like puzzle fitting almost in this weird way.
It's a great concept. Just like work around the bit.
Yeah.
Get every perspective around a subject, and then you can be
Fully.
free to sort of just see what happens.
Yeah, but grass is always greener. I look at comics who are like word economy. You know, they're like, every word is precious. I'm like, fuck, that's beautiful. It's like music. And then I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's a mess, but it works, so it's fine. I have no problem with it. But you always look at someone else and go, that's beautiful.
Well, you've answered my question in terms of like style. I guess it's like it's this organic thing for you where you start an improv, you're like addicted to the moment, you're just trusting, engaging with the audience. Then you kind of trying to reverse engineer some material. So like, where do you find where you're moving now? Like, because I think the thing that often moves the style along for a comic is they get bored, right? They're like, I'm sick of doing.
Do you want to know
this
how
thing.
you don't get bored?
Tell me.
I've had this conversation with lots of comics who are like, I can't tell the same joke over and over. I'm like, I agree. What you do is you put a question in the middle of the joke and you ask a crowd something, or you just stop the joke and engage with the crowd because you have no idea what they're going to do. So it keeps you on your toes. So you don't, because then you have to restart the joke mid-joke. So it keeps you fresh. Like if you've got a 5-minute bit and you're just like pressing play on it, if you halfway through, let's say at one point you talk about like having a girlfriend, blah, 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 my girlfriend this, or we went on a boat. Oh, have you ever been on a boat?
So you've seen my set. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
Boats
I've
and
seen
hoes,
all
I
men's
got.
sets, so I get it. Yeah. Girlfriend, boat, you know, you're a boat bitch. So girlfriend, boat. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
Dude, anything
I
you
think
say
that's-
is going to be 100% bang on. Just look at
No,
my
I can
face
feel
and
it.
just shoot. Just
Yeah,
throw
it's
at the dartboard. You're
It's
going
the
to hit
burnt orange shirt. It tells me a lot.
more of a cheeky maroon, but that's all good.
Agree, disagree. But so if you were mid your boat bit about your girlfriend, so
Totally.
you just stop and midway and you'd go like, oh, have you ever been on a boat? What do you think of boats? Because then you have no idea they're throwing. Yep, put that
What
one
do you
down.
think- what do you
Quickly,
think
write
of
that one
boats? That's
down. Put that
good.
down. Yeah. That's some of that crowd work I was talking about.
Yeah,
That
I'm
I
saying,
that's
it's fresh.
really good.
I got to trust more.
Yeah.
So you
That's
sort
improv.
of, I see what you're saying though. Honestly, you will like breathe fresh life into material by seeing where it can go, and then there's almost part of that magic shit when you get back on the tracks of what the rest of that bit was. They're kind of like, oh my god, like I forgot about the boat.
I'm not saying it's a perfect mechanism, but
No,
what
it's
I do think
100%.
is comics who are doing the same joke for a long time and you get bored of the rhythm because you know it, you almost go into this like, you switch your brain half off. It's like, then you get bored and we should be having fun as much as they are. Otherwise they're bored too sometimes. So if you just kind of like smash cut, like just smash shit up a little bit and then sometimes you find a new tag or a new bit.
Yes.
But I mean, this might also work more depending on your style because mine's quite like conversational, naturalistic, whereas some people who are very like perfect probably doesn't work. So maybe this advice is dog shit.
No, it's good for my boat bit. Honestly, I'm gonna punch it right up.
So if you've got a boat bit or you're exactly like me, this advice works.
yeah, that's good.
Otherwise, don't worry about it.
I like it a lot. I want
Yeah.
to think about that more.
Yeah, think about
Because
it.
I'm very much
Circle
like a
back.
person that goes over and plans everything. I like Christmas lights. You know, if one goes out, the rest go out.
Oh,
Do you know
is
what I
that what
mean?
happens?
Sometimes.
I don't really work in tech, so I'm not. But I
Neither do
trust you.
But I've heard that's an electrical.
That makes sense.
a
I
common
thought just
thing.
one goes out.
But they're all joined up, you know what I'm saying?
I've
Like,
seen a
they're all
lot of
part the
lights
same
that only
circuit.
one is out.
Really? You
Well,
sound some pretty
things
fancy
are different
Christmas
in
lights.
Sydney.
Whereabouts in Sydney are you based?
You know, just near the beach.
Near the beach.
Eastern suburbs, the rich people.
Living it up?
Sure.
Your family in Sydney?
Yeah, they're all there.
What do they think about pursuing the stand-up comedies?
They think it's lols because I'm a Jew, so it's very normal.
I see.
So, like, my sister's a doctor.
Yeah, great. So they
Tick.
she took
So
the hit for you.
Jewish.
She's like, I'll go.
No, that's not a hit.
Oh, wow.
Jewish doctor, that's glory.
No, I'm saying she's like,
Oh.
I'll be the family doctor.
She'll do
You
she'll
go
do
do
that,
crazy
and then
things.
there's me, and they're like, well, that's a stereotype, so we'll take it.
That's
and then my
amazing.
brother used to be a professional golfer. Now he's retired, but isn't that crazy?
How old is your brother?
Oh, he's 29.
And retired.
Yeah, well, he like did some stuff, and then he was like, oof. And I was like, fair. It's like, you know,
I
sport
see.
and comedy have a lot in common. I think it was just, you know, people who do for a decade, they do comedy and they're like, I can't keep going.
Yeah. They
Some
got to
people-
try some crowd work in the middle of their things.
I'll tell them to change it up in
Change it
between
up on
swings.
maybe hole 7.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
engage with the audience.
Yeah,
What do
halfway
you reckon
through.
of this?
Yeah. Start
A
asking
9-9?
some
What do you
guys.
think? Freshen it up. So
Yeah.
they're happy with you pursuing, because I want to circle
Yeah.
back to something you said before, because it was crazy and we blasted past it. You did your first open mic and then you moved to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have family in New York? Was that always the plan? Were you just like, what was in your mind? How good did this open mic go?
Oh, no.
Like, I'm going to move across the world. I'm the next thing.
It was, I was a psycho. I had my bed. I went to New York once before I moved. I was like 14 maybe. And you could buy at the time postcards for like 10 cents a pop, right? I bought like 500, maybe not. And I got a piece of timber. My dad's a tradie builder. And he got me a piece of timber. And I put all of the postcards like one after the other. And I used that as a bed head for like from when I was like 14 till I was like 22. So I was like New York obsessed. I was like, this is where all the comics are. This is what you do. You go there. I'm going to hustle. Why am I hustling here when I can hustle there?
Why am I hustling here one open mic?
Yeah.
Why am I doing everything I can?
I was already like, I'm moving to New York.
Yeah.
I hadn't even done an open mic. I was like in high school. I was like, I'm going to be a comic. I'm going to graduate. My parents were like, you got to go to uni. So I went, studied psychology, had a mental breakdown. I was like, I'm going to kill myself. I can't do this. I don't like this.
Discovering some things.
Yeah, I was just like, let's switch gears. And then I already knew, like, once I graduate, I'm moving. So I was working 3 jobs. I'm saving. I'm not having fun. And I had never done an open mic in my life. Also, I'm dyslexic, can barely write. And I'm like, let's go and write the next best stand-up special. You know, I'm like psycho. And then I just fucked off. But I was like, I should do an open mic probably before I leave.
Tick it off.
Yeah, I was like, why not?
And go.
So then I just did that. And then maybe 6 months, a year later, I left.
So when did you come back? When did you come back
COVID.
to our shores? COVID.
Yeah, so I had lived there for 4.5 years. COVID hit. Everything was a mess. And then it was like, all right, I was working I had like a 9-to-5 job and was doing comedy. And my company went from like 500 to 200 overnight. They just sent out emails and fired everyone because COVID. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to get stuck here if they fire me. So I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? On a Wednesday, I spoke to my mum. She was like, I think you got to come home. Quit on a Thursday, was on a plane on a Saturday. Didn't see any of my friends, nothing, because it was like a couple months in. And then I just came home and then quarantined, stayed, then started the slog here.
And how was the slog? I mean, obviously you'd built all these I guess, muscle, for lack of a better of a term, in comedy and improv, and you'd sort of found your groove in that way. And I don't know what the rooms are like in New York, but I imagine they could be, pretty brutal at times, and there's a bunch of different vibes. How quickly did you hit the ground running in Sydney and then start to get the momentum back over here?
I'd visited once or twice while living over there, and I did 1 or 2 shows. So I knew a couple people just from like literally meeting them once a couple years back. And then I just did a few open mics. I did a few open mics and did a couple like shows, but like the shitty bar ones. And people were really nice. They were like, I remember one comic, she was like, what are you doing here? No, like, you don't need to be here. And I was cracking up. So then she helped me, did a lot of intros. So it was very sweet. Like lots of people were like introing me and whatever to the right people. And then I just started doing a lot of MCing, and that made me a lot stronger. So then from there, it just made it easier, because once you can MC, there's not a lot of MCs in Sydney at least. So it's very helpful to have that skill, and also very helpful to want to do it, because a lot of people hate it because it's work. Because I don't know here the audience as much, but Sydney audiences are hard. They're like, no, I don't care. They've come to a show. They've bought a fucking ticket and they're sitting there going, I don't know. And I'm like, why do I have to work this hard for you to unfold your arms and laugh?
Yes. Well, when I went to Sydney, when I gigged in Sydney, what I did notice was that there was just so many just beautiful people everywhere. Just too much. And not
people
only
really have that idea of Sydney. I'm like, I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it?
Sure, they're hot, but like it's like cheerleader effect. There's just a lot of them in a room.
Oh, maybe if I isolate them all,
Yeah,
I'm like,
they're
oh my God, you're a gremlin.
They're uggos.
Right, okay,
just like
I see.
everyone everywhere's ugly.
Yeah,
I think being proximity to a beach helps.
That makes everyone's just tan as fuck, right?
Tan, thin, blonde.
But I would kind of appeal to that, and I would come after them and be like, "Why are you?"
Oh,
do you know, like if someone like you was in Perth, you would be like, you could move to Perth. We've only got 4.
Is that what you're saying?
We've only got 4 like beautiful people in Perth. Like people are studying and beautiful. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like you're beautiful. Relax.
I know. Hot people don't have to do much.
No.
So then when they come to a show, they're like, "Why do I have to laugh?" I'm like, "You're hot, but you still have to laugh."
I see.
Right? Hot people, they get
That's
away with a lot.
Quote. You're hot, but you still have to laugh.
Put that on my fucking tombstone or something. I don't know what sort of quote you want to put there. But yeah, no, audiences everywhere are hard, I think, in Australia because we're not a comedy savvy vibe like place. Whereas New York, the privilege there is they're comedy savvy. You go, oh, give me a cheer if you've never been to comedy before. People are like, I've been to 3 shows this week, let's go. Whereas here, you ask a crowd, maybe 15% have never been to a show. So now you're working with people who have been on the internet, watching Netflix, like just swiping, and you're like, all right, I need move your face.
You've got to educate them.
I need something, please. Yes. So you got to literally say, I need you to laugh. I need you to like get into it. You're like teaching them how to be an audience.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I want to know, is you obviously do a lot of crowd work and you like that.
Yeah.
There's something that I've found when you do crowd work and it goes really well, right? The dream happens. This magical moment erupts that was just couldn't have been planned.
Yeah.
And the audience love it. But then they're addicted to the now. They're like, I love this.
It happens.
I loved that moment. But you got like 12 minutes left. And then you're like, anyway, so I'm on the boat with my girlfriend the other day.
You're doing
and they're like,
some of that.
what?
Go
Like, back to the now.
Yeah, it happens.
What do you do there, Jess? I mean, that's something that I struggle with. It's like I'm almost scared by my brilliance. You know what I mean? With the crowd work. That's what I'm getting at.
That's a you problem, but you have to kind of just back yourself a bit more, babe. But
sure. But
I think that's a great question.
Though.
I don't know. I've heard so many comics. We talk about this a lot of like, a lot of people blame the internet. Like people now are so used to this, like the internet, and then they come to a show and they think, oh, I'm helping, I'm being a dick, I'm helping. And it's like, okay, sometimes sure, you can get people being funny. Great. I think it's hard. That's why I think if you're a crowd work-ish comic, if you work material up by talking, usually it's in a similar cadence to how you crowd work. So you can slip in and out of crowd work and bits. Whereas if your bit is super structured, and then you're like, so I was walking down the street and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, the thing is, like, how was your day? I like your hat. It's like, whoa, that's like whiplash for them.
The gear change is too much.
It's too much. So if you can gear change a little smoother, then they don't know. But but also that's hard, man. That's where that's where I'm at now is like integrating it smoother, which is real. You're dipping or weaving. Someone told me that an older comic told me that they ask leading questions. So they'll be like, are you married? And then if they're like, they give a weird answer, then you play with that a bit. And then you're like, oh, my partner, blah, 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 or my wife or this or my husband. So you ask a leading question. But sometimes, I mean, I think if you can try to marry your, oh, look at that. A reference back to the fact that partner.
Hold on.
But if you can try to get your joke style and your crowd work style combined, sweet spot, but it's hard.
Of course, that's the craft, right? That's what
that's
we're all
the craft.
chasing.
There you go.
That's what we're all doing. So you're over in Perth now. You're here for, how long are you here for?
Till like 2 nights. So
2
till
nights.
Tomorrow. That's it. In and out, baby.
Enjoyed the pro run. It's good?
100%. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Good times.
It's fun seeing different crowds all over the place and seeing there are some differences, but mostly there are similarities. Do you know what I mean? Like a late night crowd wants to hear a sex joke. An early crowd just wants you to be nice. Like, people are people. Whatever.
Is there anything coming up for you, like in terms of, I mean, setting goals is always something I'm fascinated with comedy because the goalposts move for us so much, right? You're like, I just want to get like a solid 10, and then you like hate your 10 and you want a headline.
You're like, I'm going to do 90 minutes
of
gold in front of 1,000
90
people.
90 minutes of material, I'm a hack, I'm a loser. You know,
Yeah.
It never ends. So what's the ever-moving goal that you're chasing right now?
I'm trying to write a really good 50 and then tape that and put that out. So I'll do that mid-year this year will be when I tape it. So that's just, which I've done an hour before. I've done festivals a little bit, but I want to do like a really, like, to me, I'm like, I want it to be so funny. I have to stop halfway to give them a break. Do you know what I mean? You know when you laugh so hard, you're like, I'm going to vomit. I want them to be like, I'm going to vomit if she says one more thing. You know when something's so funny that they lose energy and you're like, why isn't this still killing?
Because they can't.
Because they're literally fucking fatigued. Tired. That's what I want.
Jesus.
That's the goal.
That is an ad right there. That is a pitch. Clip that. That is
we'll
crazy.
see. We'll see if it works. But I want it to be that funny that people are literally like,
That's beautiful.
Stop.
They feel violated. They leave and they're like, I'm cooked, man.
Yeah, tired.
They gotta lay down.
That's why I'm only doing 50. I'm like, let's do it. 25 minutes in, you're going to feel like you're going to vomit. That's my promise.
Goal.
That's
a beautiful goal. Where can people follow you? Where can people find you while you're developing this? Just
this
on
Instagram and TikTok and stuff. You can just Instagram at Jess Fuchs. Do people say that?
Jess Fuchs.
Feel like a boomer.
Fuchs.
Yeah, like fucks, but with an H.
Perfect.
That's
fucks with an H.
Remember. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's a lot of fun, Jess. Yeah. I've enjoyed chatting to you,
and the same to you. And
I hope we, I hope we get to do it more. Possibly.
Yeah, let's start a podcast.
Let's do it together.
That's
what
we need.
Another
podcast.
Boats and Fuchs.
Yeah, that's it.
That'll be fun. That'll be good.
Okay.
All right, I'll get the incel crowd going. Jess Fuchs, ladies and gentlemen.
See ya. I don't know where to look, but a pleasure.